Hey, what's up, everybody? Jay here, and had to do a part two to this. A little while back, I did a part one, little thing called "Did They Clone Tyrone," which has to do with popular YouTuber Tyrone Magnus. Was a fan of this guy, still am, still watch his content, but he's had some very questionable views as of lately. One of the main views is that everything in the current realm or comic book movie realm and things of that nature is woke, according to him. Did a video before talking about, the thing as far as race and gender bending and whatnot, and I kind of left it alone. But I recently watched the video where Tyrone was speaking about how Marvel Studios came out and said that the reason that the quality has gone down in the products is because they based it too much on quantity and not quality. According to Tyrone, this is not true. It's due to their agenda chasing and different things as far as race and gender baiting, whatnot. But I wanted to address something with that, which is going to correlate to another thing. Now, naturally, the demand for the comic book movies these days and whatnot does lend to a lot more, quantity, especially from the biggest studio out there. With that, you have to get more actors, and everything and whatnot to fill, said roles or what. And yes, that will dilute brand possibly. Everything cannot be Endgame, Infinity War, the Winter Soldier level events. But that being said, yes, some of their stuff has been diluted. But here's the thing. With more properties, you need more actors. But the issue I had with Tyrone before was his thing as far as wokeness and them finding different actors to play roles where it doesn't look like the traditional character. Biggest thing right now with him would be the Mr. Fantastic from the new Fantastic Four First Steps movie that's coming out, and how Pedro Pascal is playing the role, and him being of Latin descent. Besides the fact that he's a great actor, he doesn't look like the character, and the regular character was white and whatnot. It does, but the thing is, get the best actor to do the best job to raise the quality. What if an actor that looks exactly like him is not as good as an actor? Check this out. This is Steven Yeun, a very, very good actor. He was actually up to play Sentry in the new Thunderbolts *, the new Avengers movie. But stepped away from the role because everybody perceived it as woke, and they did not want to see him because he is of Asian descent, playing Sentry, who was drawn in a comic book as a white, blonde-haired male. Did that affect the quality of the movie? Possibly. Steven Yeun is a very good actor. Probably would have did great, and the race of that character has nothing to do with the characterization. Here we are with this. We know this whole thing about, Silver Surfer, and now there's a female in it, and oh my God, it has to be Norrin Radd, this whole thing, because Lord forbid there be a woman who can play a role and Norrin Radd still be out there and be maybe being held for a bigger storyline. Maybe he comes to help her and just, who knows, but because it's not him right away, that's the issue. I'll get into that later. But I want to point something out about Tyrone. Tyrone stated that, let's say specifically Fantastic Four, that he liked, and his favorite one was the older Fantastic Four movies. And then I start to look at certain things. Since there's such an issue with this changing of race or changing of gender, I looked at some of the movies that he really, really liked. So he said, all right, let's look at this. Jessica Alba. Memory serves me, she has some sort of Spanish or Latin background to her. You got the guy that plays Ned Leeds, has a Samoan background. You have Selena Kyle, aka Zoe Kravitz. We have Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. We have Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. Then we have Kerry Washington as I believe it's Alicia Masters. All characters from movies that Tyrone has said that he likes, he loves, or whatnot, there's race bending there. It's not a real issue for some reason. Let's take a look at this. Keanu Reeves playing Constantine. Now, I brought this into effect because the whole thing about how a character has to look comic accurate, that is not how Constantine looks. And there's a lot of other examples of that throughout comics where a character in the movies does not represent what they are in the comics. But it seems very, these things are being applied at will. And there's more examples of this. It's another story for another time. But my thing is, the biggest problem is it seems like if, again, watching Tyrone's videos, as soon as he sees a woman in a role or something of that nature where it could be a big, buff, manly man, he automatically says that it's woke. Those are examples from movies that you've seen that you liked where there was elements of what would be deemed as woke now. There was no complaints then. You're not even giving the creators a chance for their product to come out. Now, yes, there have been some duds, but to just write something off right away because an actor does not look photogenic to the comics that it was taken from, and things of that nature, it's just ridiculous, truthfully. And yes, when you have such a platform that you have, goes on and said, this is woke, it's not getting my money. You have an influence. You are an influencer. You're a reactor and you have millions of followers. You being so critical to content, even before you've seen it, it'd be different if you watched it, it came out, you said that you had these judgments that you spew to the public initially. We are not in the same times as when these comics were drawn. We're not. The world has evolved. Yes, have been female characters that they have made Mary Sue's. I understand that, but Mary Sue's is just a female character that can just overcome anything, kind of like most of the male characters for the most part, like the Superman, things of that nature. They have applied certain things that male characters get to female characters, and it doesn't just mean brash things in that nature. So I say that to say, I personally think it's slightly reckless the way that you go about those things, but hey, that's your thing. But there's actually somebody else I want to speak about. This here is Eric July, and I actually like Eric July. He has a comic company and everything, Rippaverse Comics. Go and support him, and go and support Tyrone. Regardless as to what I say, I'm not trying to be detrimental to either one of these gentlemen's careers and the platforms that they have built. Go and support the both of them through and through. Even though I'm pretty sure this is gonna be like, why am I talking about this? I will still support. But I want to point out something that Eric July spoke about, because it is kind of in the same realm, but he was talking about female characters and where they're at, things of that nature. Here's my thing. The thing he's saying was as far as pushing agendas and whatnot, which does get done. I will definitely acknowledge that does get done. But here's the thing. There's always been characters that push certain agendas. Now here are just a couple. And as we know, Professor X, Magneto, the Holocaust, things of that nature, Red Skull, Captain America presses a lot of agenda with patriotism. He always said that was part of his, incarnation. Superman is literally an illegal alien in so many ways. Now, I have Wonder Woman in here. This is why. She's a strong, empowering woman and whatnot. What's her weakness? What's one of her main weaknesses? Bondage. Her weakness is BDSM, essentially. So yes, there are certain, I can understand a female who maybe grew up watching comics, maybe creating a character who doesn't have certain downfalls, or it's not just, looks like this or whatever. There's always been agendas in comics. Yes, comics is a male-based thing. It always has been. But girls have grown to be women that grew up enjoying these things also. And they deserve a space too. And people from all sorts of lifestyles do. Just to hyper focus on it, and this isn't just to Eric, I'm not saying that, but I just think it's kind of immature. At this point, we're all older. Yes, we can make characters. We can't complain if they try to introduce a new character and we kick it down because we want the old character, but we want it in the old way, things of that nature. It's called evolution. If there wasn't no evolution as far as people and agendas, Eric, you wouldn't even be in a position to have Rippaverse, because you would still be trapped in some sort of place because of, the color of your skin. Same thing with Tyrone. Same thing with myself. Most of us. It ain't even black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. It's just art. They're just comic book movies. It's not that serious.